Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our connection. Every week we are connecting through the wisdom and we're tapping into the cosmic awakening, cosmic opportunity. Obviously, this week we have a unique opportunity as well, the new moon of the month of Aquarius, starting on Wednesday, Thursday, which is another opportunity. Maybe we're going to record something separately. We'll see. But it's almost similar. It's also ruled by the planet Saturn, the same energy planet, but different constellation. And we know it seems like recently all the stars, all the planets are aligned and giving us a lot of accurate or more closeness to what we need to see, what needs to be done, finalize many things that are keep open and starting new processes or new journeys that can be more elevated for our generation, because we know we are in the age of Aquarius. That's what we call it, you know. And that era called Aquarius because we know this is a time where, you know, challenge our mind, you know, to think bigger, to think outside of the box, to think like in colors, to think not just black and white, to think beyond the logic, right? So this is what Aquarius and Aquarius, the age of Aquarius represent, but for us is beyond the logic, beyond the physical attachment, beyond materialism. You know, when material die, what left, you know, in my hands? Or when everybody, you know, despair, what left? Or when I don't have anybody, what am I getting? What am I connected to? Who am I without everything surrounding me? That is the time. That is the time for this understanding. In this week, like I said last week we spoke about when Moses came to Pharaoh and recommend to him to release the Israelite from the Bnei Israel, from Egypt. And if not, you know, it might cause chaos if you're not going to. And of course, we talked about the 7 different plagues that came last week. That's the consciousness. And today, we're going to speak this week the last 3 plagues. Now, I want to put a frame over here, okay? The frame is that there is no Moses, there is no Egypt, there is no Pharaoh. It's all fiction in your mind. It's all character in your mind, in your movie. If you think it's Pharaoh of 3,000-4,000 years ago in Egypt, you totally disconnect. Total disconnect. Because it never meant to be dealt in historical event. The Torah, Kabbalah, the Kabbalists never, if you read from Kabbalists, you see that it's never about history lesson. Never about commemorate or wow, let's, you know, tradition. It's all about lesson that shine on us right now, right here, right this time. Pharaoh and Moses right now talking, right now. The simple way I can explain to you is with astronomy or astrophysics, right? The physicists or scientists, they explain it the best way. They give you proof, right? And again, I'm not saying that they are the legitimate, source. They still struggle because they want to bring it into a physical explanation. We don't have to do it in the physical. We are only in the spiritual world. So a simple example. If they tell you, and you can read it, it's not me, please Google it or YouTube video, you see anyone, Neil deGrasse or many of those amazing people, Michio Kaku, everyone, all those scientists. They tell you if you're looking at a spot of light in space, simply, right? You see the light. They go towards the light. They hit a planet when they saw it, and that planet is 2,000 light years away from here. That's what they tell you. So let's say we go into that 2,000 years planet, By the time they see the planet, it's already the past. It's the past. So you understand? Even if I travel to there, by the time I get there, it's already history. But that light is still shining now. I see that light, they're telling you. The phenomena, right? So one of the beautiful mind that when we learn it, we understand that if you keep traveling beyond that planet to 10 billion, 15 billion years, what do you hit? They call it the Big Bang. Kabbalistically, we call it the thought of creation. The moment of creation, that light, even though it happened, quote unquote, in the past, it's not in the past. It's right now. Right now. Again, it's a hard concept to really see it. But this is why I love science, because it can really bring all what we struggle to explain in the physical world to a very simple concept. They tell you, the light that even though is in the past, it doesn't move. Yeah, what's the speed of light? 186,000 miles per second. Go figure. What is it? It's really standing. So technically what the Kabbalah says, and this is exactly what I'm telling you right now, Pharaoh and Moses are right now going through that dealing. Now where is it? It's not over there. It's not in Egypt. Egypt is a reality that a person get into. A person get into a reality of slavery, a reality of smallness, a reality of narrow thinking, a reality of me, a reality of what fits in my calendar, that's what I can do. Whatever beyond, I don't. What fits in my heart, I can accumulate, but if not, I can't handle it. I'm overwhelmed. That's the reality of Egypt. Come Moses. Your soul is Moses. The voice of soul. That's how they put it in character, call it Moses. Comes Moses to my Pharaoh. My Pharaoh is my negative side, is my evil inclination. My Pharaoh is my smallness. My Pharaoh still put me enslaved in the physical world. And and keep putting me under the slavery of possessing me in the physical reality. And thinking if I have it, if I have the mic, I'm good. If I don't, I'm not in control. Today, you break free. Today, all of us, we need to decide to break free of that silliness. I call it silliness because nobody in the world is holding you. Nobody can hold you. Nobody can control you. So I spoke about it in different ways, but if you look at Pharaoh, at Egypt, it was an empire. When he tried to control people, it failed. Any country who tried to control people and not let them go, you cannot possess people. You can control land, you can control, maybe materialism or hold back money from people. But to control people, to possess people under the siege or control like that, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. At some point, they tried it in Germany, they tried it in Spain, they tried it all over history. They're still going on right now. They tried it in Syria, right? You see what happened now? Eventually people get out of it. They tried it 2,000 years ago with Hanukkah, we spoke about, with the Greeks and many others. They tried to control people. You're not going to be able to do that. Therefore, the Pharaoh that we're dealing with uses our physical possession, our physical need to possess our energy. This week, when it says Bo El Paro, that's the way the reading starts. Now, of course, every year we're speaking about it. It's a wrong say, it's a wrong written. The corruption of the translation, and I feel bad for those of you who don't speak Hebrew and read it and think, Bo el Paro, it says, come to Pharaoh. What do you mean, come to Pharaoh? It should say, go to Pharaoh. The word should be, lech el Paro. Go to Pharaoh. Those of you who speak Hebrew and know, it's very simple. Bo, it means come. Meaning somebody calling you to come to them. That should be, if the Creator tell Moses, hey, go to Pharaoh, because you need to speak to him about let the Israel go. The word is important because this will give you a hint that there is a secret over here. Over here this week, there's a huge opening to understand the depth of the war that exists. The deep war that exists between your soul and your body. Between your godly desire to the human desire. It's a huge war that is happening right now. Your body consciousness, your soul consciousness. Your body consciousness moved by your ego, by physicality, and your soul consciousness moved by the light and the bigger picture. If you think about it, all the 10 plagues beside one were external plague. Now, if you look at the plague, it was not a plague. They call it makot. Makot is striking, hitting. Plague is magefa. That's what magefa means, plague. That's not what he says. He said, eser makot, 10 hits, 10 strikes, 10 punches in a way. Therefore, because it was 9 of them, and Pharaoh didn't let them go. Because they were external. And Pharaoh know that external, right, is fake, is illusionary. External, okay, everything is blood, or everything is lice, or wild beast, or the frog. Okay, it's external. 1% I can rebuild. Physicality, okay. That's what my Pharaoh tells me, okay, that's why I don't want to change because, the house is burned. Why do I need to change, right? There's a flood, water. Okay, why do I need to change? The business loss, or we lost a client. Why do I need to change? I don't need to change. That's what Pharaoh says. He says, listen, your people are suffering. It's okay. For that I need to change, It's only 1%. Until the one plague, which is what? All of a sudden, people dying. Not just people, the firstborn. Of course, scream and yell around Egypt. Everybody crying. There's no house in Egypt that there was no death over there. Then he wake up. Why? Because it's clearly something that you cannot predict. It's not external. It's something that kills people without even knowing. The best example I can give you, my dear, again, it's when each one of us are not convinced about this war. When I present this idea of the internal war between the light and darkness, internally, between the evil inclination to the good inclination, between your higher self to me, between your soul and your body consciousness. And a lot of people, it's, but it's still the neighbor. It's still they hurt me. It's my boss. No, it's not your boss. It's not your girlfriend. It's not your mother and father. It's your internal paro. That's when you fight. No, it's not me. It's them. We still want people to be responsible for my own war that's going internally. How is it possible? The only thing, by the way, in the Zohar, it says that the only thing that Pharaoh had in mind, that it makes zero sense? How come when in the blood there was the blood plague was interesting for Pharaoh. He says, how come the Israelite, every time they drink, they have water, and they give the water, they pour water to a friend of them, Egyptian, it's blood. How is it, how, that didn't make sense. Because they get there was a magic and everything, but that was like too much of the illusion that they didn't get. But that's the one thing on the side. If after today, after this, if you listen to this, one person even, 2 people, 5 people, doesn't matter the amount, but we cannot go after today, at least this week, right, thinking I have a battle in court, I have a battle with the government, I have a battle with fire, I have a battle with weather, I have a battle with my mom or my dad. If you think that that's happening right there outside of you, you are yet not convinced that you have an internal Pharaoh and internal Moses. You are yet to be convinced that you have even a soul. If you have a soul, there is a war. Who is be ruled? Your soul or your body? Your ego? Your small little ego that wants just a little glory? Right? Or greatness and influence beyond. You know, my teacher says about cancer. Cancer, God forbid, if somebody find cancer, is the cancer, Chas v'shalom, God forbid, not anybody in the world, you know, but what happened in cancer? Now, most of the people who discover cancer that it's in their body, they didn't know right away, right? They found out later, right? After it's already evolved. It's not like a flu, right? It recognizes some symptoms, right? A person might have cancer for years and all of a sudden the outbreak, right? And when it's out, when they recognize that they have cancer, what is the struggle that people have? What's the biggest struggle? That it's the person from within. It's not like when you have fight with a city hall, right? With a city, you know, with a permit. Oh, I know who is my enemy. It's that cashier or that clerk over there giving me a hard time. Oh, I have a problem with my permit in the DMV in my car, so I need to fix it. So I need to fix it. Here, there's no one. You cannot fight anyone. There's no way. Cancer is the only way people need to understand that the war is internal. And that's sad, by the way. It's very sad. Yeah, it's easy when I know my neighbor stole 10 yards of my backyard. Oh, I know who to fight. I have record, I have videos, I know who stole my bicycles, who ride my scooter, right? I can find that. But when I'm dealing with something internal, nobody can help us. It's an internal enemy that eats you alive. That is Pharaoh. And if you're not aware of the fight between Pharaoh and your soul, sure enough, it can manifest, God forbid, as in physicality. Okay, so be aware of that. Ask yourself to really have a 360 view over you and your Pharaoh. Pharaoh is you. Moses is you. You just need to decide from today which side of the war I want to be in. And it's a war. And if you don't know that you're in a war, Benjamin, why are you speaking in terms of war? Let's be in love. Because this is, you're dealing with very powerful sources. If they wanted peace, they wouldn't have that. That wouldn't be the direction. It's not forces who are interested in peace. It's forces who are interested in destruction. And therefore there's no common ground over here beside who have the upper hand. Who have the power to control, to rule? Your soul or your body consciousness? As simple as that I can put it. Next he says that each one of us, again, this is the word I spoke earlier before. You know, there is, most of us, if you really, really convince that the entire fight is internal, that the argument outside, the lack of money, the deal that didn't close, the investment that didn't come, the outstanding bill or court case that's lasting, is nothing external. You have to be convinced. If you are not convinced, and again the word convinced, I shared it earlier, the word convinced in Hebrew called meshuchna. Ani lo meshuchna, I'm not convinced. What does it mean? If you take the letter shin from the word meshuchna, you get the word muchna. I'm not yet defeated. It's your Pharaoh says, you can't defeat me. No, it's external. No, it's them. You know, it's nothing to do with me. This is what we need to understand for ourselves. Are you convinced on this war that Pharaoh and you have in your soul? Now again, this is the beginning, right? Like I said, historically, look at that. Anytime people try to control people, like all these cultish or cults, all the guruism, or they try to manipulate people or lure people to do things, all of that will be wiped from the world. You cannot control people anymore, governments, anyone. People will rebel. But again, that's why it says that the war need to be internal. And once people, each one of us, do an internal fight, it will be the most peaceful reality to live in. You're going to start love people around you. You're not going to see them as a threat. You're going to see them as a trigger. You're going to see them as an opportunity. And if we understand that the war is internal, as a result of that, my dear, you become unstoppable, indestructible. Nothing can destroy you. We get destroyed because, the market fall. The market is, I missed the train. Right? They break up with me. I'm under the weather. All kind of heartbreaking. It chip in, it breaks you. It breaks you slowly chipping into your system with this little 1% physicality being destroyed, is destroying you. So be aware that the actual war is internal, nothing there. And once you really understand that, you will see you become unstoppable. Okay? So, because they might stop you physically, but they cannot stop you spiritually. They cannot stop your spirit. They cannot stop you awakening more light. They cannot stop that. Expanding your inner voice, expanding your inner strength. That is this week. Why? We have in this week the elimination of the core of where what we call Paro stands on. The firstborn idea that is dying, right? That is glory. In this week, we have the opportunity to eliminate those three, the core three legs of where Pharaoh, the negative side, stands on. We collapsing this week. Now, people who are unaware of it, don't get that gift. It's a matter of consciousness. This is what's available this week. Now, what type of voice do I want to expand? The voice that fights for the big picture. The voice that fights for bringing the light type of consciousness to this reality. bringing unity into that, bringing what we call the protection that comes from inside, not fake protection. But when you remove the legs of Pharaoh, there's nothing to stand on, and that's what's available this week. That's what's available, and now you can influence. So what I recommend also as well, to think how often, check how often during the day what you do help others. Check. The simple thought. What am I doing right now? Help others. How? Yeah, maybe in 6 years. No. What am I doing today that is for the service of others? And again, each one of us convince yourself. But make sure it's not Pharaoh, your Pharaoh convincing, yeah, everybody build Egypt for me, but you guys can stay here, right? So what am I doing today that is of others? The next level for this, it says, again, this is a deeper understanding of the war, okay? It says, Moses goes to the Creator comes to Moses, says, go to Pharaoh, כי אני הכבדתי את ליבו ואת לב עבדיו, because I hardened the heart of Pharaoh and all his people around him, למען שיתי אותותי בקרבו. Now again, if you read it literally, there's no way you understand it. But once you open Kabbalah and you open this wisdom, and you realize, wow, that's all about that. Look, it says, and why? Because I gave him ototai, signs or signals or whatever it is, next to him. Bekirbo, something close to him. It's nothing to do with what we're reading. First of all, there is the word ichbadati et libo, which means harden the heart of Pharaoh. But if you read it literally differently, right? You says, ki ani kibadeti, I honor and I respect the negative side. And I gave him an opportunity. That's when the Creator sends Moses and tell him, blood, lice, kinim, arov, dever, all those plagues are combinations of letters that are a code of how to collapse the kingdom of the negative side. So it says, the Creator came to Moses and says, listen, I already gave the negative side, I already gave your Pharaoh. He says, first of all, I respect him. If I respect him and I honor my duty for him as well, because also part of the Creator. So what did I do? Shiti ototai bekirbo, I gave him, now they call it ototai. Ot is a sign or a signal, leotet, to signal, right? But we know in Kabbalah, it's the word for ot, otiyot. Otiyot are letters. The letters. And ele, otiyot ele, these are the letters, bekirbo, inside of him. Bo is inside of him. Meaning inside of you, you have Pharaoh. Your Pharaoh already got the warning. He gave him blood, he gave him this, he didn't get it. He didn't get it. But you know, out of respect, I gave him 10 times tries before I completely collapsed his kingdom. What is the message? Beautiful message. Every situation in your life, it comes for a specific moment. For a specific moment, and that moment will be gone. If you don't take advantage on the moment and get exactly what you needed to do and to convert and to transform or to elevate in that moment. Let's say, for example, you go visit your father. You have 1 day with him. He lives in France, and you go see him for the day, right? For 1 day, for 1 week. I have only this week. I am going to get all the signs, and I'm going to get all the otot, all the otiyot. I'm going to learn all the lesson I need to learn. Or I'm just going to just do what I need to do and bye-bye. Now, this is time that you know. You go, you have a flight between here and there. But what about situation in your life? You never know how long it comes and how long it stays, right? How long it's going to stay. Therefore, you first of all, I'm convinced. What has happened? Pharaoh is a person that is not convinced. So every time you're not convinced, what do? You bringing plagues. Every time you're not convinced, you're bringing another wave to shake your boat. Another one, and another one. Oh, you don't get it? Okay, another one. We have to stop that. Don't we see wars, fires, unexplainable waves? Yeah, it's global warming. So what? Now you're going to accuse everything about global warming? Nothing to do with human needs to take responsibility on their energy. If we, all of us, decide to do the war with our Pharaoh, I can tell you, zero problem in the physical world. Zero. All war, everything dump in a second. Prosper, everything. Hyperloop. Everybody goes around the world, underground, anything. Teleportation immediately. Telepathy, boom, right away. All the channels are open. Remember, the light is constant. The light is still on. Even though it's 15 billion years ago, it's not in the past, it's right now. So, when a person gets hit again and again and again, and they don't listen, eventually they need to be eliminated from the game. That's what it is. So listen. If you're not listening to the messages that comes to you fairly in merciful, right? He says, then there is a reality when you're not listening. There's a reality, asher it'alalti b'mitzrayim. Then I להתעלל במישהו, to abuse somebody, almost as an abuse, right? It will feel like you're taking advantage of. And you will be possessed by other people, Be very aware that you're not possessed by your own ego. That's Paro. And that's what it tells you. Now again, through the letters, through the words of Kabbalah, through the wisdom that you awaken, you can eliminate the internal Paro holding over you. That's the goal of this week. That's it. That is a beautiful understanding and very simple. How do we do that? I'll give you the hint. The word Paro is Pharaoh. You take the numerical value of Paro, is same as 355. The same numerical value as the word machshava, thought. Pharaoh strength is to promote thought of what? Paro. If you switch the letter, you get mafriya, right? Hafra'a, disturbance. A disturbing thoughts that I cannot get rid of. As soon as you have that, you need to recognize, oh my God, this is Paro. This thought is not real. When you have a thought that is so negative, why do you believe in it? How come you believe a thought that tells you you are bad rather than the thought that is telling you you are amazing? Right? Or you have so much light, you have so much potential and so forth, right? How come I believe in that? Why? That's the Pharaoh. The voice of Pharaoh. Pharaoh is like hafra'ah. He's a disturbance. It's a disturbing thought that comes, and eventually thought become speech, become action. This is the direction. So if you sit enough with Pharaoh in your thoughts, you're eventually going to speak, be a channel of Pharaoh to others, and you're going to act like Pharaoh, making slave, making people work for you, making people, like for example, a victim. Everybody want to serve a victim, right? Oh, poor, and sometimes victim right on it. Or a needy people, right? A needy person, eventually you feel coerced to help them because they are needy and every day they need something else. Every day. Eventually, after 6 years, you realize you're just running after the needy or the need of somebody else and nothing changed. And that's the Pharaoh, my dear. That's the Pharaoh. And the goal is to eliminate, I would say, not engaging in the thought that promoted by Pharaoh. And if you not engage with that, you immediately get a thought that comes directly from the thought of creation, which is billions of years ago, billion light years ago. But it comes to you today, right now. So again, in conclusion, am I convinced that there is something external? Very convinced. No problem. But if you understand that everything happening internal, and you're totally convinced that the war is internal, and you're totally convinced that everything starts internally, then manifests externally, you have a big chance. You have a big chance, but you have to be 100% convinced. If you're 50, wait. I have to be very convinced. Okay? And what doesn't convince me, it's what will break me. So I need to be convinced that the war is internal. There is no Pharaoh, there's no Moses, it's internal voices that I need to deal with. So, hopefully today, we all deciding that energy and using the new moon of Aquarius, because Aquarius is like out of the box. It's like it is a time to think out of the box, time to really reveal wisdom to everybody. So let's use this opportunity. Let's use every thought that comes and not to engage with disturbing thoughts, because this is Paro in disguise. And to connect to the thought of creation, a thought that promoting the big picture, a thought that is not just about me, it's about others, a thought about what am I doing right now that can influence light tomorrow. That's it about this week. And thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of the week.